Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Memorial Day weekend. We got a hello from Cape Town. I don't know. I can't see the name, but if you'd like to type your name in, please do so we can give you a shout out. Are you feeling like yourself this morning or whenever you're getting this? Do you feel like yourself? Are you at peace this morning? Or are you feeling some discontent? Are you somewhere in between? Have you been seeking approval from a loved one that doesn't seem to come? Are you able to be who you are in your current situation? Are you able to live from that place? Today's show is titled The Authentic You. And I want to welcome in our audiences, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku. Our podcast audience will get this later. On my balcony here today, we got some beautiful blue sky with some white clouds that are just providing some context, kind of dispersed on top of the blue, and weather couldn't be better. It's absolutely perfect today. So I want to invite you to pause and breathe for a moment. Take a moment to just pause and breathe. So you can breathe in through your nose. Pause. Breathe out. Pause. In. Out. Let your belly expand. Think to yourself, how often do you do this? How often do you pause and breathe? How often do you give yourself a respite between the thinking and the doing? Doesn't it seem we're always on this wheel that never stops? Is it possible that maybe you lost yourself? Is that possible that you're feeling like, I don't know who I am? Take that deep breath, allow the belly to expand. Soften up your face. Hear the birds singing. And just allow this moment to unfold and just think that whatever you're here for, whether it's a couple minutes, a half hour, whatever, 15, 20 minutes, there might be something to give, there might be something to receive. And you don't have to know that right now. You just trust that you will know. Can you allow the moment just to be? Or are you already into the next moment? Can you just allow this open space nothing to do. If you clicked on here and you're listening live or playback, there's a reason why you did. Perhaps this is the reason. Just to find an open space. Something pure. Even if you can't describe it, you can feel it. There's this purity there. With each deep breath, seems to magnify. So when you're ready, just come back to this moment. Move your fingers, flutter your eyes open, and just allow this moment. Look at the beautiful blue skies. Good morning, Emilio. Good morning. Just notice the beautiful blue skies behind me and the purity of the moment. So I wrote some things down. First, I want to just give a shout out for Memorial Day. And I just want to honor my dad here for a moment. So I'm going to share that. My dad was in the Marines. Today is about this weekend, Memorial Day. We must, we choose to remember the sacrifice. The sacrifice. So that's my dad. He was a Marine, fought in Vietnam, and while he didn't die over there, because if he did, I wouldn't be here. But there's a part of him that did. There's a part of him that died over there, and he was never the same. So Memorial Day weekend is a time to remember all the U.S. military that fought and died for the country. And, you know, while my dad didn't die there, a part of him did. And, you know, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to share something that I think is relevant this morning for Memorial Day. Because when we think about people who fought and died, there's a famous quote by Albert Einstein. He says, I am a decided but not an absolute pacifist. That is to say that I oppose the use of force under any circumstances, except when I am confronted by an enemy whose declared aim is the destruction of life. And so when you think about Memorial Day and you think about war, which is, you know, we think we want peace and we want to live in a state of peace. But the reality is that this is life, right? And this is a quote from Albert Einstein talking about that. So many of our soldiers died. And I believe most cases to take out an enemy whose declared aim is the destruction of life. So it's just an interesting thing. So I just wanted to highlight Memorial Day here and all of our soldiers and everybody who fought for this country so that I can do this video right now. All right, let's grab some shares. Yeah, thanks, Amelia. Appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for your service and all the soldiers that fought and served. So I want to talk about being authentic, being authentic you. I just wrote some things down here. These are just questions to kind of throw out there. First thing is, are you in a state of discontent or peace? Are you seeking approval? Are you seeking approval to the point where you lost yourself? Where is the authentic you? And I would say, and I wrote down, allow the true you. So being yourself, being authentic, and it's kind of like the present moment. It's not something we want to strive to get to. It's more of like allowing it and allowing yourself to be who you are. And then I wrote down, and this is important. We can't always live there, but we can, but it's all, but you, quote unquote, you are always there. And then I wrote down the ability to pause. And like we talk about on the show, is that most people live up here. We live in our heads, we shallow breathe, and then we go out into the world. And that's how we show up. And we get caught up on trying to prove something, trying to prove our worth, trying to prove an ideal. But is it true? Is it true for you? What is true for you? And by the way, if you're thinking like, wow, I don't know who I am. I lost really who I am. It's time to like embrace it. Because the more I get into this work, the more I feel like it's embracing the vacuum. It's embracing when there's no identity there. There's nothing to hold on to. And I felt led to share this today. This is incredible. So if you think about you seeking what's true and authentic in yourself, and even if you have no idea what that is, and maybe you've been living a program, like, I got to be this way, I got to go out, I got to like constantly trying to get right. And maybe you lost yourself in the process. So that's the individual journey. And there's people that have become like so connected to who they are that there's a truth and an authenticity there. And then they're able to live out from that place. And while that's available to everybody, there's some people that just have really embodied it. And they take that to the point where it's so authentic, it affects the collective and can stand up. And it's so powerful, but yet so subtle that it opposes the collective injustices, the collective atrocities of the ego. So I'm going to share this. This is a little off the beaten path a little bit, but it kind of came up. Sometimes things, I just had decided to pick up this book. I don't know why. And I opened up the page and I got this. And I'm going to share it with you. So this is the book. It's called Photos That Changed the World. So if you're on the podcast getting this, it's a book called Photos That Changed the World. And it looks like it was published by Prestel, Prestel. And I opened up to this page right here. And it's a picture of Gandhi. And it says Gandhi and the Spinning Wheel. So I'm going to do a little special presentation today. I'm going to read from this because there's some really powerful things of somebody who I believe like found the truth in themselves and was so authentic, if you will, was able to live from that place and change the world. And it's subtle. So I'm going to read this now. And by the way, I want to say hello to everybody who's live. If your name isn't up there, sometimes I can't see your name. So just if you want to type in your name and where you're from, I can give you a shout out here. And I really want you to just think about you're here to give or you're here to receive. You're here to give or you're here to receive. And it's okay. There's no right or wrong. And if you don't know who you are, you're feeling like you're kind of lost, you're in the right place. So you can just take some solace in that, that it's okay to not know. It's okay to not have the answers. It's okay to feel off because that creates the contrast. Okay, Kerry, good to see you on here, Kerry. So let me read this. Withdrawn and ascetic, Mahatma Gandhi lived to see his life's ambition fulfilled, the independence of India. So think about the outcome. It's pretty incredible. His nonviolent political struggle over many decades made him a living legend. He used his public stature to exert influence over hundreds of millions of Indians with symbolic acts, such as working the spinning wheel. He was the son of a chief minister. He studied law in London and practiced for 20 years in South Africa. So you got to remember, he was pretty accomplished, right, at that time. His first campaign of civil disobedience was prompted by the massacre of Amritsar perpetrated by British soldiers. Through Asahayoga, which is a non-participation in civil institutions, he developed an effective and simple strategy for mass protest movement. His premise that was complicity of the Indian population enabled the British to rule such a large country with only 1,000 civil servants. As a traditionalist, he instigated a boycott of the British companies and goods and promoted ancient production of methods such as the spinning as a means of overcoming economic dependence. So that's why the spinning wheel has significance. So you'll hear about that in a moment. And I often think this is relevant today, here in a moment. So the American photojournalist Margaret Bork White, who met Gandhi on several occasions, later wrote about the significance of the spinning wheel. For millions of Indians, it was the symbol of their struggle of freedom. Gandhi was very astute in his assessment of the economic and spiritual power this would have. If millions of Indians could be persuaded to spin fabric for their own clothing instead of buying textiles made in the factories of the British colonial power, the boycott would have a huge impact on the British textile industry. The spinning wheel was therefore the key to victory. Non-violence was Gandhi's motto, and the spinning wheel was the strongest weapon. So while we talk about Memorial Day and soldiers dying, here's an incredible act, just incredible. And there was a couple other things in here. This is another incredible thing he did. Similar motives had prompted him in 1930 to lead hundreds of thousands to the ocean to collect salt in a protest against the punitive salt taxes and virtual salt monopoly. When the British needed India's support during the Second World War, Gandhi immediately demanded his country's independence. He did not hold office in the government time, yet he was consulted with regard to every important question during the independence negotiations with the British cabinet mission. When violent dissent broke out between the Hindu and Muslim communities in the wake of the division of India into two nations, with the foundation of Pakistan in 1947 and the subsequent conflict over Kashmir, the 78-year-old, 78, staged a fast to bring the end to the atrocities. His fasting had a great symbolic meaning. It awakened a feeling of urgency and demonstrated the necessity to abandon old ways of thinking and the need for new solutions. Shortly after this action, on behalf of nonviolence and tolerance, on his way to a prayer meeting in January 30th, 1948, he was assassinated by a Hindu fanatic. The death of this simple yet complex man, who embodied all the contradictions of Indian society, marked the end of an India as a traditional colonial nation. So, this is a little off the beaten path, but I just thought, what an iconic image, to have this and to be able to be authentic and to stand for something. And so my question, what is your spinning wheel? What could be your spinning wheel? And if you're on the podcast, this is an iconic image of Gandhi literally using a spinning wheel to knit to create clothing. And what could be your symbol of your authenticity? What could be your symbol that you're going to stay true to yourself, regardless of the noise? What is it? So I'm going to just take a moment and think about this. And if you are finding this for the first time, we know there's stuff going on out there. We know there's people who are looking for answers. We know there's people who want more fulfillment out of life. And the Wall Street Journal just put out an article on young people. There's more deaths in young people today. They're at an all-time high. We can do better. But I believe it's going to come packaged with each person finding out who they are, regardless of what stage. Because, if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, and I've had experiences with this where people have been carrying stuff for decades, live in a certain way. It's not in alignment with who they are. And they can be upset about that, but I get excited about it because the moment you understand, like, that served me or didn't serve me, but I can recreate. I can go grab my spinning wheel. I can take a stand for something new and different in my life. And at any moment, I can push the reset button. At any moment. There's nothing holding me back. I can live fully in this moment. And like I said earlier, it's you're not always going to live there, but you are always there. So it's more just this ability to be in life as it's unfolding. And I think that's where the power is. So I had another thing I wanted to share with you, but I'm going to take a moment because I just want you to think about the story of Gandhi, the spinning wheel, and what it represented on a collective level. But then think about, for you, what could be your symbol today? Most people are on a wheel, if you will, a different kind of a wheel, where they're just living through life, trying to get to the next moment. And this was me, always trying to get to the next moment. Always trying to get to the next moment. Does that still happen? Yes. However, I'm more aware, and that's the whole premise of Power of Pure Presence. It's just to be more in life. It's going to go very fast. I just heard this beautiful poem by this gentleman. He's 99 years young. And he wrote this poem about how fast it goes. And he says, take your time. Live life. Be in the moment. Let's just take a moment, and I'm going to let you see the sky. Just if you're on this, just take a pause and breathe. Allow yourself to be fully in the moment. Can you be in this moment for a moment? If you clicked on here, you're listening to this, can you pause and breathe? Will you allow yourself to do it? Or are you immediately going to be like, I got to get to something else? So take a moment right now. If you want to keep your eyes open, look at the sky, breathe in through your nose, allow your belly to expand, and just see what you can observe here in this environment, what you hear, and just welcome it in. Sky, bright blue with dispersed clouds, white clouds spread across. Incredible backdrop. Good morning, Mandy. Thank you for your wishes. Happy Memorial Day, USA. Thank you. Yeah, we're not guaranteed a second more. No, we're not. Prayers to a young family who lost their 2-year-old baby girl on Friday. No words. It's one of those things that very hard, right? Very difficult. So it's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're broadcasting live. You might be getting this on the live. You might be getting this on the playback, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku. This is the Power of Pure Presence. My name's Austin, and this show is about living fully in the moment. It is Memorial Day weekend, and again, just want to give every service member alive, because I feel like I'll share my dad's photo here again. And just to say that, my dad obviously didn't die there, but a part of him did. And he came back and he was never the same again. So there's many veterans among us that feel that. So this is Memorial Day weekend. So I just want to take another moment to honor my dad and everyone that's, so let's just do a moment of silence here. And then despite everything going on, there's still a lot of great things that we can look and look toward. So I'm going to keep today's show short. I do want to give a shout out to my sponsor. That is Duchess DJ Love, gallivanting like a royal. She has a platform that wants to infuse more travel into your life on a budget. She calls it gallivanting like a royal. It's all about traveling like a royal, but on a budget. And she's mastered it. She's been to all 50 U.S. states and 10 countries, and she'll be traveling more. She has a book called Traveltude. So I'm going to put this graphic up. There's a couple QR codes. If you can, snap the QR codes, learn more about it. She's just a wealth of information. She just, when it comes to travel, she's got it down. So I highly recommend you follow her. Let me share that. So I want to thank you all for being here today. I'm going to keep this short. It's Memorial Day weekend. And I just want to welcome in our LinkedIn audience. Just recently, I was able to go live on LinkedIn. And so we're streaming live on LinkedIn as well. It's a little bit different of a show for that platform, but I trust it's going to find the person that needs it. That maybe you are, like I was, just obsessed with the future. You're constantly trying to get somewhere, just constant. And to this point where you're always measuring yourself, maybe you're not being kind to yourself. You're just constantly trying to get somewhere, and you're missing life. And we hear these stories way too often. People wake up one day and they go, "Where did the last decade go?" And so, if you're getting this, I I hope, trust, pray this interrupts that pattern, and you stop, you pause and breathe. And when I say pause and breathe on the show, it's yes, it's in this moment, but it's also a metaphor of the pausing and breathing in our lives, allowing open space, allowing time to reflect, reconnecting with most important. Because I get most people, they're going to get this, is midlife, and when a lot of times the way we live the first half, it's different. It evolves. I think our what's important to us, it changes. And if we don't dial into that, we have a chance to just repeat and not experience the fulfillment of being alive. Just the moment of being alive. And it's just incredible. So I'm just going to share a random reading from my journal here that I just happened to pick this up. This is a journal. This was a gift from one of our listeners, Michelle. And Van Gogh's Starry Night. It's had some writings in here from 2021. So a couple years ago. This was in August. This was at Washington Crossing State Park is where I wrote this down. So here's a couple things I wrote. This is a quote: "To live and capture life more fully in a way that serves others, unique to your gifts, is your truest heart's intent." And then the other thing I wrote down here was, this is kind of poetic, but really powerful. "Someday, when you're old and gray, and most of your stuff has been given away, you will ponder and reflect upon someday. The someday that never came, the time that was never just right. And the someday you now sit in is not the someday you had envisioned." That's kind of a deep reflection, but and it might interrupt you a little bit. But again, if you're getting this, it's supposed to do that. Someday, when you're old and gray and most of your stuff has been given away, you will ponder and reflect upon someday, the someday that never came, the time that was never just right. And the someday you now sit in is not the someday you had envisioned. So the key to that, take some time to pause and breathe, reflect on what's most important to you, your true authentic self, and begin to live from that place. And then I'll share this. This is to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. I think that is a powerful quote for today because it sounds nice, right? The little tagline, your authentic self. Sounds cute. But to live it is an epic, epic journey. But it goes in line with the show theme, we shall not cease from exploration. And in all of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. What is life about? What is your life about? Are you focusing on that, or are you just living? Are you getting caught in the thick of thin things? Are you spinning your wheels? Are you obsessing about the future? Are you regretting the past? It's time to wake up to this moment. It's time to figure out a way to tap into who you really are, discover it for you and your family, and live from that place. And here's the thing I want to share with you. This is a great little, for those of you that have children, this is a story of the crabs. There was this mother crab, and she saw her daughter sidling along sideways. And she called out to her daughter and said, "Why are you sidling along sideways? Why don't you go boldly forward like other crabs?" And the daughter said, "I would gladly do so if you would just show me how." That's from one of Aesop's fables, and the message is clear. The timeless message that if you want to inspire your children, if you want to inspire others, show them. Show them. So I want to thank you for being here today. My name's Austin. This is a Power of Pure Presence. We're going to end the show today, but I want to share with you, though, we are doing a Costa Rica retreat called Midlife Oasis. I will share that video. I believe I have that here. Let me see if I can pull that up and share that with you. Because if you really want to make a change, if you're thinking, I need, like, this all sounds great, I love the show, even though I don't have it figured out, I'm starting to understand, like, I need to make some changes. I need to, like, really figure out what the rest of my life is going to be. I want to invite you to push that reset button. And I'm going to share with you what we're planning. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for certain people. Let me know if you're here today. You can check in if even if you're on the playback. Just type in your name, where you're from. And if you're interested in this, a couple shout outs here. You can go to my website. If you can book a free virtual discovery, we can talk about the retreat if that's something you want to do. That's at austinhaynes.com, www.austinhaynes.com. And then I want to invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at Austin J. Haynes. I'm going to be shifting here over the upcoming months to be focusing more on folks in the midlife sector. I can't tell you how many people I talk to that are approaching midlife, and they're thinking it's over. They're thinking this is all there is, or they lived for their kids, and now their kids are out of the house. They don't know what to do with themselves. They're confused. They're trying to find themselves again. And I feel like this is the greatest opportunity for us to do something great with the experiences and the life that we've lived, and what we were able to give and what we're able to share is so needed. And too many of us are just listening to that voice in the head that does not have our best interest at heart. Let me give a shout out to Lizzie T Show. Welcome, Lizzie. Glad you caught the tail end of this. Glad you're here today. This will be uploaded on the podcast here in the next day or so. And you can find the show. The Austin J. Haynes Show is another show. It's every Monday at 7 o'clock, where I interview guests. And then we have this show every Sunday at 10 a.m. And this is really about dialing into that present moment, who we really are, your truth, and then living from that place. And when we do that, we afford ourselves the opportunity to live more fully now. So have an amazing rest of your day, Memorial Weekend here. Give a shout out again to everyone who's fought for this country, and those that we lost in any battle that affords us the freedom that we have today. And despite all the things that seem off, I'm able to get up this morning and do this broadcast. I can make a phone call. I can get in my car. I can drive wherever I want. I can book a flight and fly. I can create a new friendship. I can go and visit a new place. And that may sound like, ooh, that sounds simple, but there were times throughout history where that wasn't possible, where one group tried to control another group. But now we have a freedom, and you have a freedom. If you just stop and think about it, it's there. So God bless everyone. Have a fantastic day, and we'll be back at you real soon. Bye for now.